We're going to get to it in a second, but right at the top, they're talking a lot of shit about Chicago. I'm not here for it.
I mean, their words.
I know. I love Chicago. I feel like I should almost live there.
Okay.
I do love it.
It's great.
Yeah. Hi, Julian Benzavalli.
Hey, Patrick Hines.
Fam on the Pates. Hello, welcome. We love you. We see you. We're grateful for you. We're sitting
This is our bonus up on the regular feed.
Oh, you know what? I forgot what we were doing.
This is for everybody.
You know what? Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Well, while we're here, I was just going to say our next drag bingo is Saturday, July 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's with the amazing Schwa.
Love Schwa.
There's so much good stuff on the Patreon. There's all the 500 full ad-free bonus apps, like the Jinx Part 2.
Yes.
And tell me another, but this is not a competition. I want all the podcasts to succeed and everyone do well, but tell me another one that is doing drag bingo. I can't think of one.
I can't think of one either.
Me either. And I love it. And our drag bingo is so good.
Yeah, we have Schwa.
I feel like I scared you.
Scared me, why?
I've been a lot over here for the last 30 seconds.
You... last 30
for the
seconds,
last 8
you say?
years and 30 seconds. You say something now.
I'm excited. This episode is wild. I know that
Okay,
much.
great.
My stomach still hurts me. But other than that, I'm good. I'm here. I'm ready to go.
All right,
Let's do this.
Tell them what we're doing.
All right, so we are doing welcome to our bonus episode. Surprise. Hi, happy bonus
Hi.
episode. I think this is the 11th one already.
Oh my
goodness.
God.
So this is that show Smug Shot. Remember we did that PTA teacher
It's
thing?
so good. They planted the drugs in that PTA.
Right.
Mom, we still don't even know if she has a kid in that school. Nobody
She
knows.
does. She does. Yes.
Great.
Got confirmation she
Okay.
does. Anyway, this is the second episode of that series. It's called A Special Investigation, and wow.
Wow, is it ever?
I learned a lot.
Chicago's the Windy City. Not because it's windy, it's because our politicians are full of hot wind.
A report from the University of Illinois claims Chicago is the most corrupt city in the United States. It's based on data from the Justice Department.
Every year you're hearing of a corruption scandal or a trial of somebody. We've had governors who've been indicted and convicted. In every town, there's probably someone.
Candice was doing great things. She was clearly focused on helping women and girls. Her whole life was dedicated to it.
Sheriff's Department, open the door!
Police finally arrested Candice Clark.
When I saw this, I thought, wow, this is some serious gall. It's almost like the George Santos before George Santos.
Is this true? Do you know what I'm going to ask you?
I know exactly what you're going to ask me.
I was just recently in Chicago, and I fucking love that town.
Yeah.
I love Chicago so much.
The whole Chicagoland area is pretty great.
It's so great. I am like, we went to see Death Becomes Her.
Yes.
Like with my friend Jen. It's so fucking good. But my point is, Chicago is amazing, but it's called the Windy City. They say not because it's windy, but because their politicians are full of hot wind.
Yeah. So I just gave it a goog.
Okay, and?
And the Cincinnati Enquirer used the term in 1876.
Okay.
In reference to a tornado that blew through the city, while also capitalizing on the term's double meaning to highlight local speakers who were full of wind.
No way.
We got a twofer on our hands, everybody.
What do you think they call it when I blow through town?
Oh, here he goes again.
It gets real windy when I'm in
here
town.
it is.
They also say that Chicago is the most corrupt city in the United States.
Their words. I don't understand.
Not even theirs. The Department of Justice, they say this is based on information from the Department. No, the Department of Justice hates Chicago.
I'm staying the hell out of it.
Oh my God.
Well,
I said Chicago.
you know what?
You okay, girl?
Well, Candice Clark isn't helping. So
No.
Candice Clark, her whole life was dedicated to helping women and girls, specifically Black women and girls.
Yes, of course.
She is the director of special investigations. We meet Aaron Pepple.
Yep.
He's in the special services department. They met right after Candice was sworn in, and whew, it was quite a ceremony.
Because Aaron Pepple from the Special Services Department is helping to put together this ceremony for her swearing in.
Yeah, we got speakers, we got photographers, there's a religious group. The City Lights Orchestra with conductor Rich Daniels was there.
I know, and Aaron gets to be the one to introduce Candice, who's in her new post.
She
says,
is honored and humbled.
Yeah, and Aaron says he felt good about where he was in his life, where he was going. His career was on the up and up. And I said, girl, this is not about you.
I mean, we see the ceremony. Like, there are lots of people there. Candice looks and sounds ready to go out and do the good work. And it's very important to note that Candice, because I think it's mentioned at her swearing in ceremony.
Yep.
Candice Clark is the first African-American woman to hold the Director of Special Investigations position in the state of Illinois.
Candice is the first Black woman to hold the position of Director of Special Investigations in the state of Illinois. It's huge.
It's really, really big. And now we meet Rich Daniels. He's the director of the City Lights Orchestra.
He was there.
Now, this City Lights Orchestra played at this ceremony and her swearing in. But I was like, wow, they're really interviewing everybody for this thing. They're interviewing the conductor of the orchestra for the swearing in ceremony.
It was a really big deal.
I know. He has absolutely no idea what her job is. He said she seemed nice. Whatever she's been asked to do, hopefully she'll be good at it. Yeah. And she'll be nice about it.
I'm here to play my music, whatever.
He probably plays the bassoon.
Sure. Well, I think he's the director, so he probably plays more than one thing.
Started with the bassoon. He seems like you discover the bassoon.
A bassoonist?
I dated a guy in college who was going to the New England Conservatory of Music, a very hard school to get into. Yeah. Played the bassoon. Still makes his career as a bassoonist. His name is Micah.
That's great.
What a great name.
You can find a good bassoonist. You don't let them go.
Micah?
Hey, Micah?
You know
Micah
what I mean?
The bassoonist?
From Texas. He was like a sweet Texas boy. He called me Bubba. It was like the cutest little nickname.
All right, look at you. Good job, Micah.
I know.
You're doing it.
We then unceremoniously broke up. He came to see me in New York a few years later.
Just gonna keep going. Okay,
I know.
Great.
I thought we were going to rekindle. We didn't. He came to see me and I was like, no, it was a good thing that we broke up. But you're really cute and sweet.
And a hell of a bassoonist. How many people can say that, really?
And a hell of a, but he was a really cute guy.
Yeah. So Susanna Mendoza is here. She's the comptroller, and she's explaining what the Director of Special Investigations actually does. And I'm like, hey, Susanna, while we have you, can you explain what the hell a comptroller does?
No, we find out later.
They make sure all the money's on the up and up.
Yeah, and I believe it's an elected post.
They keep an eye on the financials and everything. Totally. Also, I apologize. I hate, quote, while I have you, but I did it for the sake of the bit.
Tell them who does it to you more than anybody else.
Oh, Steve.
Steve Tipton. We will literally be texting about
that's what kills me about Micah the bassoonist.
I know, yeah.
Totally not. And it's like a Sunday. We're not on work mode, girl.
I know.
And he's like, while I have you, here's this 10-page email about finances. And I'm like, you don't have me at all. I'm not to be had. I'll let you know when I'm open for business. Yeah. I'm not open for business right now.
While I have you.
It makes me crazy.
Steve.
But it worked for the bit.
I know. It did work for the bit.
So apparently the Director of Special Investigations, they report directly to the police. They work in a collaborative fashion. And I'm like, cool, still don't know what her job is.
No.
But Candice is out there doing it.
I know. So Aaron, the guy, I can't even remember his title, but he was the one that set up the whole ceremony.
He works in the Special Services Department.
He works in the department. He says he sent Candice's assistant, Paulette, an email being like,
thanks so much for everything. Just curious on, when I'll get paid for this event. Do you have the details for the next event? She always talked about future events, and if that's the case, I definitely want to be involved in those. So it's balancing that between wanting payment and being frustrated about it, but also I would love to work more.
Candice is going to be doing a lot more events. I want to be setting them up and maybe speaking at them, and I get paid every time I do it.
Right.
I don't understand how this works.
Because I'm like, wait, you work for the Special Services Department. You went to a boring government ceremony. Isn't that part of the gig? What do you mean you need to get paid? Isn't that your salary?
Well, Paulette, the assistant, has the same question because she's like, hey, there is a government shutdown going on right now, Aaron. Everything is taking a long time.
Because Rich, the conductor, the director of the orchestra, also is asking the same question.
Yes.
Now, Rich, I understand because he's hired, but I'm like, Aaron, I thought you were all part of the team.
But then I was like, maybe Aaron is freelance and
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Look, I'm not working in government. I have no idea.
It's very Parks and Rec over there. You know what I mean?
I'm sure every single government worker listening to us, both of them are super offended.
I'm sure both of them, exactly.
Both of them.
But Paulette is just saying, there's a government shutdown, and right now, no one's getting paid, but your money has been submitted. Don't worry, it's coming.
And the thing is, Susanna, our comptroller, is like, that's absolutely right. Because this is 2019, and this government shutdown, no payments are being processed. The average wait was 210 days for anything to get done. Well, that's the average. That's a year.
210 business days, girl.
That's over a year.
I mean, that is not okay. It's so funny. I used to work for Capitol Grill, the steakhouse chain.
Sure.
We all had to learn their...
They hate that you just called them a chain.
I know.
They're like, what are we, Applebee's? I'm like, you should be so lucky.
Look, I love Capitol Grill. It's delicious. If there's one in your town, go eat there. We had a really great time in Charlotte. We got too drunk at the bar.
Well,
It happens. But they made us learn their core values. And one of their core values was that they are a good business citizen. They pay their vendors on time.
Great.
Talk to my husband, Steve Tipton, who you just raked over the coals.
You asked me a question, I answered it.
One of the many things Steve prides himself on is everybody who has ever worked for us gets paid in full on time.
course. Is that like...
Well, you know what? In this business, it's not the standard.
Yeah, it's like crazy. But
so I'm just saying
but
that,
plus
like,
the government shutdown is what's happening here. So that's delay. That's the point why everything is so delayed.
Who can live 210 business days without getting paid?
Nobody.
That should be a crime. That should be a crime. I know.
Which means that's not even like the shortest amount of time. But the point is, Candice, our comptroller, is like, it sucks, but it's out of Candice's hand. It's a shutdown. So it's not unusual at all, right?
Yeah.
But yes and no.
Right.
Because yes, there was a shutdown.
Yes.
And this, however, is where we learn Candice Clark is a corrupt politician. Oh!
We see this reporter chasing Candice down a hallway, and the reporter says,
"We're here because you were accused of stealing $65,000 to $70,000 from Darlene Simmons."
What?
Candice goes, what?
Yeah.
But is not taking questions.
Not saying no. So let's talk to Stanita.
I love Stanita.
Stanita is Candice's college friend.
Yeah.
And she used to be my best friend, but now she's a monster.
I know.
She robbed me. And I'm like, what did she do to Stanita?
I know.
And it
Wait till we
sucks.
meet Stanita's mother.
Oh, I love Stanita's mother. These two were best friends. Like, best. If you saw one, you saw the other.
Yeah, she says that, like, I trusted her more than anyone, but she robbed me big time.
They went to school together. They worked together. They loved the same music. I mean, honestly, when these two were like friend soulmates.
Yes.
Real, they were in love.
They love talking about boys.
Yeah. So Stanita finds out that she's pregnant and she's 21 and she kind of starts freaking out.
Yeah, and she says she was so grateful to have Candice around to support her. And like, they're both doing work for the NAACP, and Candice introduces Stanita to a thing called the Courage Program. And the Courage Program helps single mothers get on their feet.
Yeah.
So like, Candice, who seems to know everybody in every town she's ever lived in, like, knows the people who run the Courage Program.
Yeah. And I just want to go back for a second, because Candice was a lifeline for Stanita. That's the word Stanita uses. When she's 21, she's pregnant, she needed help. Candice was there for her. Like, we see these footage, like, Stanita was going to these appreciation brunches where Candice was being honored.
Yes.
Like, we see the speeches, we see the whole, like, they were really, really involved in each other's lives. And Stanita was so grateful for Candice.
Well, especially because, like, Stanita has her son 1 month before her 21st birthday.
Yeah.
And she says she definitely went through postpartum. And so she was so glad to have Candice to be there as, like, a rock for her.
Right.
I can't imagine. I'm 36. If I was a single parent today.
Yeah.
36,
I was going with the bit.
Okay, you're such a good friend. I met this lady at a gay bar in Denver last night.
And her name was Val Kilmer.
She asked me how old I was. I said, I'm 46. She said, if you told me you were 26, I would have believed you.
There you go.
I was like, damn, lady, thank you. I'll take the compliment.
I was like going to be like, oh, excuse me.
I mean, with the look on your face, I was like, did I get the number wrong? And then I went back to say it again. I was like, oh, she's not 36. She's 46. Holy shit.
Hey.
But I'm just saying, like, Stanita as a mother of a 1-year-old son on her 21st birthday, like, I can't imagine doing that at 46 years old.
I know.
I can't imagine it.
So that's why Stanita's like, I love Candice. Candice has always been there for me.
Yes.
Candice introduces Stanita to the Courage Program, and it's there to help single mothers. It offers housing.
Yeah.
Stanita was like, to me, this was freedom.
Yes.
She couldn't have been happier.
Next thing you know, Candice calls me. Hey, she said there are going to be some new apartments. The deposit that was needed was $250 down, and then you will be on the list. Then that's when she started collecting money.
The money's going through Candice. So Stanita's giving the money to Candice, and Candice is getting her on the list.
And now, once we learn, once we hear from Stanita, that's when she started collecting the money. The music changes, the vibe changes. Enter Mrs. Roll, who's Stanita's mom.
I always love it when we get a Mrs.
Yeah.
Like, she's not even giving us her first name. She is Mrs. Roll. She's Stanita's goddamn mother, and she's here to get everybody whipped into shape.
She's here to go on the record to say, I never liked Candice. I mean, nobody believed me. And now here we are.
Okay, all right, I see you, girl. Yes.
We do this a lot. I never liked Candice, she says. She goes, I was never a fan. She goes, you know the thing about Candice? Her smile was never genuine. She'd smile, and it never faded naturally. Like, it would always just go.
Yes.
It would always just drop. And she goes, when someone does that, they're hiding something.
Yes.
And I'm like, Mrs. Roll, you're going to sit right next to me.
Can I tell you a fact? So somebody recommended to me a book called The Sociopath Next Door.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it, and I learned the statistic was 1 in 24 people are sociopaths. I used to, like, not know, like, being a sociopath sounds like a really big deal. There can only be 10 of them on Earth at once. No.
And they're all in prison for murder.
Yes, right. No, they say, you're likely to know 4 of them in your lifetime.
Easy.
These are people without consciences and without souls who can operate for their own benefit only
Yeah.
without the repercussion of having any bad feelings about it.
Caring about it or guilt or a conscience.
So I'm just saying, like, Candice seems to fit that profile.
Yeah, because there are different types of People just say, like, you're a sociopath. That means, like, you're Ted Bundy. Yes, Ted Bundy is a sociopath, but, like, your neighbor is also probably one. It's the same thing with a narcissist.
Right.
People co-op like, and there's a malignant narcissist. There's a covert. There's all different types. So like, all people are crazy.
I was
Candice
like tired of the narcissist thing. Like, I'm not saying they're not real. I just like the sociopath statistic really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because it's Stanita's mom who's like, I learned a long time ago when people act like that, they're hiding something. Like, what is she hiding?
Well,
you know.
Candice goes, do you know what, Stanita? I know I asked you for that $250 to get yourself on the list.
So what Candice does next, she said, are you guys interested in doing townhomes? I'm like, heck yeah, let's do townhomes. But of course, because of where I was working at the time and income and everything, like how much more, would this be? So now you're giving an extra $500.
And you can live with your friends and like really have real independence. And it's only $500.
And Stanita is just kind of like, I wanted that. Like they were big and beautiful houses. Like they were, you could really take pride in them. And like not just bumping up from $250 to $500, but Candice is also saying, and while you're waiting on the list, why don't you start prepaying your rent?
Yeah.
So by the time you're in, you'll have paid like your first 3 to 6 months rent. And we learned that like between Stanita and her friends, they've given Candice over $5,000.
Now, I want you to remember, these are young women. They are single moms. They need help.
Yes.
And they handed Candice $5,000 because she said she'd help them.
Exactly.
They all have children to raise and pay for and house, and kids are expensive.
Yes.
And so they are thinking, we have it made now. All we have to do is this. And Candice is supposed to help them.
Right. And Stanita's mother is saying to Stanita, get receipts from that fucking woman.
You need to be keeping track of all of this money because Candice actually, she's in a position of power.
Yes.
She's doing this. She should have the receipts herself. She should be doing real accounting. She's taking money from all these different people.
Of course.
This is a government house. She goes, where is all the money going? And she should easily be able to show you where it's going.
Right. So Stanita goes to Candice and she's like, girl, I kind of need to know, like, where, can you pull my file? I need to see where I'm on the list. I want to know exactly how much money I put into this.
She would get upset. And then she's like, I don't appreciate, being harassed. I'm trying to help you guys out. You have to understand this is a government type program. And so anything government is going to take a long time.
This is a government program. Anything in government is going to take a long time. Just get used to it, girl. You're going to be waiting.
Now, Stanita's mom says another thing that I loved.
Yes.
She goes, Candice would see a crack and slither in and make the crack bigger so she could fit. That's how I see her, as a rodent trying to get some cheese.
I mean, how Survivor season 1 is that? Let it be as it is in nature.
What?
Let the snake eat the rat. Richard was the rat and Kelly was the snake, and Susan, the trucker, stood up when she made her final tribal council speech and said she was really close with Kelly, and Kelly betrayed her. So she stood up and said, like, made a whole speech about how one was a rat, one was a snake, and then her final words were, let it be as it is in nature. Let the snake eat the rat.
Oh my God.
Johnny Fairplay, are you proud of me, girl?
Did you hear?
John Lovitz is going to be on the next season of Survivor? Yes.
No.
Oh.
He what?
Yeah, John Lovitz from Pod Save America is on the next season of Survivor. He's been gone.
I thought you meant John Lovitz, like John Lovitz.
Sorry, it's John Lovitz from Pod Save America.
Like John Lovitz with a Z?
The gay guy from Pod Save America. It's going to be wild.
Well, what I was going to ask you is, did you hear that your boyfriend Boston Rob is going to be on The Traitors?
No, I don't like Boston Rob.
I thought you loved Boston Rob.
No, Boston Rob and Amber always annoyed me. Now
Didn't
we have a Survivor
you love
podcast.
Boston Rob?
No, welcome to our Survivor podcast.
I can't keep. I don't know anything about anything.
I haven't watched Survivor.
Are you sure?
I didn't really. Boston Rob like got away with a lot of shit, and I wasn't into him.
Well, Bob the Drag Queen's going to be on it, which I'm very excited
Is
about.
that right?
Yes.
On The Traitors?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I wanted them to bring Peppermint back because Peppermint she didn't last very long. Sorry, spoiler. Like I wanted her to have more time because I thought she would have been awesome.
Do you know Peppermint lives in our friend Mike Jensen's building?
I love Peppermint.
Do you love Mike Jensen?
Yes. Okay. I thought I saw Mike Jensen on the street, remember? I texted him. I was like, we just saw you. And my Mike was like, may I be struck down dead if that's not Mike Jensen. The hair, the thing. And he's like, what? Like, I was like, girl. And I kept, it was a whole thing. Yes, I love Mike Jensen.
Natalie, we just recorded a full after party. Anyway.
So it's payday for Stanita. She's excited. She's getting her paycheck. She goes to check her balance. Oh no, she's been overdrawn $969.
Now, not only does that mean she's overdrawn $969, it means she doesn't have money for food. She doesn't have money for she's in
the negative.
She's in the negative, and she just got paid. Like you wait for payday.
So here's what happened.
Yeah.
Someone cashed my check You never would think that your friend would go into your book bag and get your check and take your check out the middle.
Candice, her best friend Candice, who always helped her, always had her back, who her mother always hated, physically stole this check out of Stanita's bag and cashed it herself.
And the bank is like, we know it wasn't you because whoever cashed this one endorsed it with a printed signature, and you always endorsed it with like your.
Well, maybe don't give her the money.
I know.
If you know it, we know it wasn't you, then why did you give her the money?
I think it's just after the fact.
After the fact,
you know what I mean? But like, yeah,
Remember Ruby Frankie, the daycare that was like, yeah, they left with a stranger. I don't know where your kids are. They left with some person we've never seen before. Bye.
Bye. I know. I don't know why anything happens anywhere, but yeah. But Stanita drives to Candice's house to confront her. She's gone.
She's in the wind. And Stanita, of course, never got into the housing. There was no list. She was never on the list.
And she says that this thing that Candice didn't set me back a year or two. This set me back like 6 years. And she's like, I feel like I let people down. She's like helping to take care of her mother. She's helping to take care of some of her friends.
All those friends that she convinced. Because the thing is, it's all of that financial burden that now Stanita has and these friends have. But like that level of betrayal.
Yes.
Candice was the last person on earth who would have done that to Stanita. Like that, you never get over that. Like that changes you forever. So now Stanita has to like live with that. And Candice just gets to live and do it to Darlene Simmons next.
Oh my God.
Our best friend Darlene, community organizer.
I love Darlene. She says when she first met Candice Clark, she thought she was the person she was looking for. She was professional. That's how she presented herself to Darlene. Darlene was running a charitable organization for men. We don't know what it was called, but they would make them food. They would play cards with them. And Darlene feels like she's serving a purpose, like she's really helping her community. And Candice really wants to be a part of this organization, and she keeps calling Darlene. And Darlene is saying now she was grooming me. She was basically befriending me to set me up for the kill.
But like charitable organizations are always happy when someone wants to help.
Of course.
And Candice was taking advantage of that.
Yes.
So of course, Darlene's like, wait, what? You want to help? Of course, everyone is like that's the point of a charity.
Yes.
So I understand, Darlene. You didn't do anything wrong. Candice is an asshole.
No, and Darlene is saying that she'd recently lost her job. She'd cashed out her 401k, and she'd wanted to buy what she's calling a 3-flat, which is like a 3-floor house or whatever. And she was talking to Candice about it, and hey, wouldn't you know it?
And she's like, well, I can help you with that. I said 65th in California is the one that we wanted. So she offered for me to put the money into her account because she said she had to have a certain amount of money in her account before we can go do a closing. And I paid money for the furniture for all 3 floors.
Candice offered to put the money into Candice's own account.
Yeah.
So, and like Candice just made it seem like it was a great offer and a good idea. Hearing it now, you're like, Darlene, no.
I know.
But at the time, if this is for charity or this is for tax purposes, or they
like
find
that
a way.
Episode of The Golden Girls where they meet the nun at the mall after they found the money, and the nun convinces them to put all the money, like they put the same amount of money into one account and the nun steals it.
That's exactly right.
That's what's going on
kind
here.
Of. So Darlene gave...
And then the nun smokes a cigarette at the mall indoors.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I love when that happens, when people are smoking and drinking and you're like, why? You're like wearing that nun costume. You have like that priest collar and you're drinking.
Oh, but the priest can throw him back.
Like Father Damien in The Exorcist when you see that he's like a tortured soul that he is.
Totally.
Anyway, so Darlene gave Candice the money for the down payment and paid for all the furniture.
Here's another $2,000 for furniture for the entire house.
Meanwhile, Darlene's daughter's planning a wedding. And wouldn't you know it, Candice knows everybody at her dream venue.
Exactly.
Candice is going to pull all the strings, give her the wedding of her dreams. Candice is also suggesting the most expensive options like a Hummer limo barf. If you want the world to explode more than it is, get a fucking Hummer.
Hummer limo.
Darlene gives Candice like $8,000 in cash for the wedding.
Yep.
All of this is taken from Darlene's 401k.
Which she's cashed out. You know what I mean?
Because she's trying to buy this house. She's trying to do the charity. She wants to give her daughter her dream wedding.
Yeah.
And Candice is here to help her make all those dreams come true. And what happens?
And it's like, well, this is also the one time in her life that Darlene has the money to do this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To do all of these things for all of these people. But of course, Candice never paid anybody at the venue. They had to cancel the wedding.
Darlene is devastated and mortified. And that has to have an effect on Darlene and her daughter.
Of course. And because Darlene is also saying
my daughter, she's my backbone. That's the only way I can put it. She's my backbone. And Lim literally was in tears. And she came to me and which hurt me. And she's like, Mama, I would never be able to have the wedding that I wanted.
Mama, I'll never be able to have the wedding that I wanted. This is when Darlene decides, fuck this, fuck everything.
Yep.
I'm going to take this woman down.
Once the floor falls out, Candice is in the wind,
yes,
right? She blocks you. She changes her number. There's no way to contact her. And Darlene's like, yeah, okay. Try it with me, Candice. Absolutely not.
But Darlene goes to the cops and she the cops tell her, we need a picture of this woman. So she's trying to get Candice to come to lunch with her for anything so she can get a picture of her.
Yeah.
Candice completely, like you said, she's gone.
So Darlene's like, all right, I'll do it myself.
She files the charges at the courthouse on her own.
Yeah.
But the court has no way of contacting Candice.
So what Darlene does, Darlene goes online and just starts warning people about Candice on social media. Watch out for Candice Clark. She's a scammer. And you know who else is Googling at the same exact time? The people we met right at the top of the episode, the director of the orchestra and that guy Aaron who worked for her. They're doing more events for Candice and they're not being paid.
Right. Like they're at event number 2. They still haven't been paid for event number 1.
And I'm like, isn't there a government shutdown? Why are these government events happening during a shutdown?
Right.
Like what is happening? So eventually Susanna the comptroller gets involved because comptrollers do all the finances and the money.
Yeah, because she lives next door to somebody who's involved with the orchestra guy.
Yeah.
And the woman is like, wait a second, because the orchestra guy Googled, and I quote here, director Candice Clark, seeing like what would come up about nothing. There's literally nothing on the internet about her. And so this woman is like, wait, I live next door to the comptroller. The comptroller controls who gets paid and when.
And they have all the time in the world because there's a government shutdown.
Right. So she goes and knocks on the comptroller's door. The comptroller's like, I've never seen this woman ever in my life.
So Susanna the comptroller is like,
I've never heard of that. I don't know who she is. The name doesn't ring a bell to me. But let me look into that. And I immediately reached out to Governor Pritzker. He got back to me right away and said, there is no such thing as a director of special investigations, and we do not have a Candice Clark.
The comptroller calls the governor directly, and the governor is like, we literally do not have a role called that. That is not a position in the government. Right. This is fake.
And I don't know what Candice Clark. Everything is fake.
This blew. I stood up in my chair. We've seen her on government podiums giving speeches, like thanking whoever for getting her into this position.
And Susanna the comptroller, who actually does work for the government, is Googling her and watching the videos we just saw at the beginning. She's like, that looks like a real event.
Because they had events for her at UIC, which is a reputable and respected university. She does one at a restaurant called Maggiano's, which is where like all of the local politicians do all of their speeches. And the comptroller is like, she must have found out when one of us from the actual government had done a speech there and then booked the space the next day before they took
banner down
all of the banners. This is how she created a fake government job and got all of these people to believe that it's a real thing.
And wait, it just keeps getting better.
It's wild.
So Susanna, the comptroller, is like, so much of this is illegal. Like, you can't pose as a government official. She's using the official seal.
She's getting covered by the news.
But then Susanna, the comptroller, is looking at these videos in disbelief, and she goes, why is my neighbor wearing a judge's robe?
The neighbor who came to her being like, can you help us figure out when we're getting paid? She's like, wait a second, you're in this video impersonating a judge? What is going on?
Her neighbor's not a judge. Her neighbor is dressed like a judge.
And I'm like, hold on, is that you? What are you doing posing as a judge? Seems to me like that wouldn't be legal either.
She's acting. We were all actors.
Aaron, who never got paid, he's an actor.
He's an actor.
We see is real.
Yes.
The only guy that's real is Rich, the director of the orchestra.
And what
who's not getting paid.
Aaron is telling us is that, so remember, in the very beginning, he's setting up that event for her and he's speaking at it and he wants to get paid.
She's being sworn in.
Every single person there was a hired actor. Candice had written the questions for the press to ask her.
It's all a script.
It's all a script. Everything about this is fake.
They're posing as government officials. So Aaron is like, yeah, well, we were told by Candice.
We're professional actors in Chicago. Like, we thought this was legit.
And Candice is like, this happens all the time, especially during this government shutdown.
Yes.
We hire actors for the swearing-in ceremonies. And I'm like, Aaron.
So that we can get to work.
Aaron.
Yeah.
And he's like, as an actor, it sounds legit. And I'm like, Aaron. Because looking back, I probably should have caught this.
I know. Comptroller Susanna is like, this was bizarre to say the least, but I honestly wanted to help my neighbor. So the comptroller reaches out to the police department, who puts her in touch with the person who does the legitimate special investigations.
Even though we just heard it wasn't a real job, but it is in some capacity. It's just not.
Exactly. It's not like an elected official or whatever. And she says, like, I laid out for them the best I could, and then they did did the rest.
Now, Susanna the comptroller is doing her thing, but meanwhile, the group chat is on fire because Jamie the fake judge is leading the charge, ironically enough.
Exactly.
Aaron the actor, Rich the conductor, they're all compiling information, receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, fucking everything, right? And they're sending it over to the authorities. Now, meanwhile, Darlene, who will not rest until Candice is destroyed, is talking to everyone, and I mean everyone.
Remember,
about this.
Darlene is the one whose daughter was getting married. She wanted to buy that townhouse or whatever. Yeah.
She's talking to everyone, including the cab driver.
So I'm telling the cab driver about what happened, and he's like, well, wait a minute. I just had someone here in my cab from CBS, and she gave me her card. Her name is Dorothy Tucker. I called.
So this woman's name is Dorothy Tucker, and Darlene calls her, and Darlene says she was nice, she was helpful, she listened, and then from there on, she stayed on the story. So remember earlier, we saw that reporter chasing Candice out of a meeting, being like, you owe Darlene $75,000. Right. This is that woman, Dorothy Tucker, who bit into this story and did not let go.
Now, Candice has screwed everybody over. She's not paying people.
Yeah.
But yet, she has staged yet another award for her to get.
Right.
So Darlene learns about this fake award. Everything is fake, but she has to get new actors because she's not paying Aaron. And she's not paying Jamie the fake judge. So a whole new cast and crew has started. Now, Darlene is like, oh my God. Darlene calls Dorothy the reporter, and she's like, girl, we have to crash this event. It's another fake event. I have all the emails. I have the whole thing. We see Dorothy confront Candice.
Yes, it's wild.
And now some actor or bodyguard actor rescues Candice.
But it's funny because, you look at him, and if you didn't know he was an actor, he really does look the part of, a Secret Service guy.
Well, she probably hired a security guy, but lied about who she was.
But it's also, the look of confusion on him. He doesn't know Candice.
Sure.
He's not, on the team because there is no team.
But my thing is, this is so much work.
Yeah.
Just go legit.
I know.
It's not like she's cutting any real corners.
No.
She's burning every bridge.
And she's also not getting paid. We're going to learn in the end what they think she was doing this for was so that she could be this, bigwig politician and go to corporations and be like, hey, I'm working within the community. I'm helping young, poor mothers. Don't you want to get involved? Write us a check for $50,000.
But meanwhile, she's screwing over fellow black women and promising to help them and not helping them.
Exactly.
Also, Paulette, the assistant, she wasn't real either. It was Candice, obviously.
Right, exactly.
So now, I don't know if you caught this, no pun intended, but this is all over the news now, right? Because Dorothy, the journalist.
Listen, I remember when this happened. I was telling you when you came in today. I remember this. I didn't really follow it, but I remember being watching this episode, I found out that the job was fake. I just thought that she stole money from people in
fraud,
her
some
finding out that
Chicago, all corrupt Chicago. I didn't say it.
No, the Windy City. It refers to the politicians.
It's cold.
But I just the moment of finding out that everything about this was fake blew my fucking mind.
So it's all over the news. But you know how the news will do special graphics for a story?
Yeah.
They're doing the Catch Me If You Can graphic and font.
No way.
At the 3308 timestamp, look at that. That's the Catch Me If You Can, the two blue arrows.
Oh my God, that's so
It's
funny.
called the Chicago Charade. But they're using those because Frank Abagnale is a fucking scammer.
Yeah.
So now that it's on the news, everyone's like, oh, I know Candice.
Well, Stanita's mom sees it. She's like, when I saw Candice Clark on TV, I was like, I gotta call Stanita and tell her what I just saw. This is sweet vindication that this woman is feeling.
Yeah, because Candice has been doing this for years.
80-something people came out of the woodwork.
When we added up, the total came to a whopping $469,000.
She's a serial scammer.
She scammed people out of $500,000.
We learned that her big thing was renting big, beautiful homes, but she never paid for them. She was evicted 23 times over 12 years. We see footage of the cops basically kicking the door down.
23 times?
Yeah, 23 times.
How do you even do that?
I mean, honestly, you would think it must be fake names and fake IDs because once
it's so much work.
I know. Right. We say this all the time. I mean, imagine if she was up. I was just thinking about Airbnb. She'd be one of those people who would move into your Airbnb and then never leave.
Right.
Oh
my God.
I know.
But she was even doing this in high school. She was Miss Teen Illinois.
She wasn't.
Fake. She wasn't. She was, quote, Miss Teen Illinois.
She faked being Miss Teen Illinois.
Like that person you knew who lied about being in Rent.
Oh
That's
my
all
God.
I thought of.
I won't say his name, but when we were 14 years old, this kid that went to the rival high school, and by rival, I'm not talking about the football team, I'm talking about the drama club, of course.
He was white, by the way.
He was white, this white blonde kid who at 15, 14 years old said that he went and auditioned for the national tour of Rent and booked the role of Angel.
Which is why it's important that this kid is white. Because Angel is not.
And that he was going to and then the Cape Cod Times did a whole story on him. And I confirmed with my friend Kate, who is a mutual friend of me and this kid, that this really happened. I'm like, did I make this up? Because this kid ended up going to my college and was just as obnoxious in college.
Oh my God.
I know. And I'm like, did I make it up because I don't like him? And she's like, no, that really happened. That's a real true story.
These people are everywhere.
I know. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I know.
Candice is finally arrested, and she was carrying like many fake IDs on her at the time.
Starbucks, by the way.
Oh my God.
I know.
So we meet her first criminal defense attorney. Bjorn. He takes this gig without knowing anything about it.
Can I just say, Bjorn says no one ever calls a criminal defense attorney when they're having a good day. They only call us when they're having the worst day of their lives.
The worst day.
And he's like...
So at first glance, I had no idea what the case was. I was asked by somebody that I wasn't even sure who it was, called me, asked me to come into court to represent their mother. And I said yes. And I showed up for a bond hearing, and I walk into court, and there's, a ton of reporters, a ton of press, and everybody wanted to talk to me, and I had no idea why.
Everyone wants to talk to him, and he's like, wait, what?
He doesn't know why. He says, someone called me and asked me to come defend their mother.
So I'm guessing it was Candice's daughter.
Candice's
Putting
kid.
two and two. I don't have to be Columbo, but someone said, help my mom.
I'm just saying, like, we don't learn about her kids ever.
No. They probably want no part of her now.
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully, you go no contact after this.
But then Bjorn shows up, and, like, they want a press conference.
So the doc makes him watch the clip of Dorothy, the reporter, chasing them out of the courthouse. And he's like, oh, there's Dorothy accosting us. And I'm like, well, she's just asking some questions. Let's not throw that word around.
But I love that Dorothy, who was the one that chased her out of that meeting, saying that she owed Darlene $75,000, she's on it. Like, she is on top of this case. She is everywhere with a camera.
Yeah.
Gotcha-ing Candice.
But now this guy is her lawyer for about 2 seconds because he has a very smart rule when it comes to defending people accused of fraud.
Yes.
If you want me to take a payment in check, you must think I'm stupid. And if you think I'm stupid, why would I represent you? Candice fires him.
Can you imagine being Candice? The audacity. He knows why you're here now, girl. The audacity to say, I'm going to pay you in a check. Can you imagine?
Well, she's like, no, you're going to see right through me and probably sue me. So forget you. So she goes through 3 lawyers before she lands on David, who's a criminal defense attorney. And I'm like, Dave, did the check clear?
That's my question.
Be honest, Dave.
I know.
Are you here to be on TV?
He wanted to be in a documentary someday, and girl, you did it.
You did it.
You did it.
And he says, and I'm like, he goes, allegations are free, proof is difficult.
Yes.
True.
Well, because his whole thing is that, like, the judge wants to know, are you guys going to take a plea deal or go to trial? And he's saying, I really wanted her to go to trial because even though she did some of this and she's guilty of some of it, like, I wanted her story to be told. And honestly, I think, like, make the prosecutors do their job. They've got to prove all of these things.
Who actually signed this contract? Paulette Robinson. That's who would be ultimately held responsible. Hypothetically, in our case, if they're going to allege Paulette Robinson isn't a real person, but it's a made-up name for Candice, you have to prove that.
Paulette was the one who signed most of the contracts.
Right.
You're saying that was actually my client pretending to be Paulette? Prove it. And if you can't prove it, then she's not guilty on all those counts. And it's smart. It's a smart approach.
Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, she did a lot of little things to get here. So the prosecution, this criminal defense attorney is arguing they'd have to prove all of that.
Yep.
So David says, we totally could have won a trial, but the smarter idea was to take the plea deal just to kind of get this over with. And, like, clearly Candice doesn't have the money to pay him, honestly. So he's like, I totally could have won if I wanted to. But anyway, so she was facing 6 felony charges. She could serve as many as 7 years. The deal got her 5 years in prison, and she only served 6 months. And now she's on home confinement.
And so, like, Darlene, of course, she's, like, pissed off about all of this. She says because of what she lost and what she can't get back. Like, everybody wants the death penalty. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, everybody wants her to really, like, suffer in prison. Like, these people who steal from vulnerable people, they never get enough time.
Yeah.
The punishment is never harsh enough.
Yeah, and Stanita's here, and she's like, I gotta say, I went through hell for those 6 years, and I thought, I mean, the betrayal of trusting, again, like another black woman to only, like, be taken advantage of like this. She's like, I have to say, though, looking back, I'm grateful for the lesson. And her mother's like,
oh, I would like to slap her. I feel bad for the other ladies too. So I would definitely probably take a second whack just because say, whoosh, that's for Stanita, whoosh, and that's for the other ladies.
One for each victim.
I would like to slap her. She says, I know.
Because like Candice's whole grift was that she was helping women who needed to get out of bad situations. It's super vile. Like, again, she's a black woman too. I don't understand. Like, you could have just helped them.
Yeah.
You know, like you could have started an organization to help these people, but instead you just like took their money and ran, literally.
It's Stanita who says it's a compulsion. She doesn't care about helping. True. Like, she just found her niche as a way to do the thing that she has to do.
Right. Because we were saying earlier, like, it's so much work just working government. She doesn't want to work in government.
No, she wants to steal from people. She wants to be a grifter, and like she found her way in. And
Leslie, nope, she's not.
Exactly. And the comptroller is saying, I don't think she's done. Like, she's still got that big scam on her mind.
Well, so as of August 2023, Candice is out on parole and she's free.
Oh.
And everyone's like, well, she's probably like, as we speak, she's probably in the middle of some kind of scam right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's just because if she can, like, if you could be evicted 23 times and there's no record of that, like, you try to get an apartment, you have to show everything.
Right.
And it's like, she can just do this over and over again. So she's just like doing this massive grift.
And also, like, you steal $560,000 or whatever it was, and all you have to do is 6 months in prison. You could do that every 10 years.
Right.
And never have to work a day in your life.
So, or like,
you know, I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm saying if you are evil like this and like
have no conscience.
Yeah. You literally, truly have no conscience. And every now and then you got to go to prison for a little while. Whatever. Who cares?
Who cares? Well, it ends on Darlene.
Yeah.
And I love this.
Me too.
And she's like, so here's the thing. Stanita can be grateful. That's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own experiences. But Darlene ends with, she goes, I hate Candice and I'm a good person. So I will just say that God will handle her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, Darlene? You've said, I love ending on that note. You know what?
You know what we have to say to that, Darlene? Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I mean, parting shots from Darlene. I love it. Because she's right.
She's right.
Karma comes around every time.
Oh, girl, we did. What's it called? But like, literally, what is it called?
So it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
It's called True Crime Story Smug Shot. And this is the second episode called The Special Investigation, and this is our 11th bonus episode.
Oh my God. Are we doing more of these?
Smug shots?
Yeah. They're so good.
Yeah, I'll make it happen for sure.
I really was like, this is a really good episode.
This is a really good series. There's one about like a fishing tournament.
Oh.
That like ends in like a fist fight. It's crazy, but it's all like
sounds like Mal at the Pal to me.
It's Mal at the Pal, but it's like people like cheating a fishing tournament. It's
oh my
crazy.
God, I'm so dead. All right, fam, just one request before we go. Join our Facebook group. Over 50,000 people in there. Oh, and one other thing. Next Drag Bingo is happening on July 13th. It's Saturday at 7 p.m. If you've been, come back. If you've never been, tell them they should come.
It is so fun. The prizes are really good. The playlist is really good. We're all together. The chat is on fire.
Yeah.
We play a lot of games.
You're
too.
really good. Like, I don't know how you're able to manage so many things. You're so good in the chat.
I
like,
love being in the chat with
active
everyone.
in there.
The chat is super fun. The whole thing is fun.
It's so great. Tell them what we're doing next.
So this is a bonus episode. So on the regular feed, you're getting What Jennifer Did, which we just recorded.
Yeah.
Quiet on Set is wrapping up. The Jinx 2 is coming up. We just got a lot going on for you.
I cannot wait to do the Jinx 2. It's Bob.
Oh my God.
I know. It's wild. It's wild.
worst.
I'll take the impression this
we
time.
get a lot of Deb, too.
We do. Oh, we do.
Get so
we
much
do get a lot of Deb. We see like Deb from way back in the day.
Oh,
she
God.
was a quote
sniffing everyone's armpits.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Creep.
All right, fam. We love you.
We love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
911, Drew.
Help me, please. I need help.
Calm down. What's going on?
Someone broke in and I heard shots. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs. Dad?
Hello?
I'm okay.
A woman is dead and her husband injured after a home invasion in Markham.
There was a knock at the door, then 3 gunmen burst inside.
They dragged me down the stairs, and then I heard 2 pops.
We don't get a lot of homicides in Markham, so it's like a grenade going off.
Investigators are not ruling out any scenario, including the possibility the men broke into the wrong home.
We're only going to have one witness, and that is the daughter, Jennifer Pan.
Why would you leave a surviving witness? It doesn't make sense. Something's not right about this. Now, I want to know everything about her.
Is it Bjorn? Borjan? B-J-N?
Bjorn?
Borjan?
I thought it was B-J-O-R-N.
How did we invert all these letters?
Maybe I invented Bjorn.
Maybe. I mean, Bjorn is a name.
Yeah. And it's spelled B-J-O-R-N. I think that's what it is.
Maybe I typed it wrong. I'm
Bjohan.
sorry.
Can I ask you a question? It's in context, but maybe you noticed it, maybe you didn't.
What?
Every time they drop a revelation on us, like when the comptroller says the average payment delay for anyone doing business with the state of Illinois was 210 business days, we got a music effect.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded just like the Back to the Future music effect.
Did
you notice?
The only thing that sometimes I don't know why this happens. I think I've asked for help about this before, but I'll be texting everyone, chatting to everyone, and then suddenly some nice person will be like, "Girl, it's just me now."
Oh, I know.
I don't know why it switches to one person.
Yeah.
I'm like, Kathy, I'm sorry, I meant it for everyone. So that's it, and I don't know how or why that happens.
Yeah, I've seen it happen to me too.
So sometimes I get lost, or I'm like, oh, but yeah, the chat is super fun.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.